The airport buzzed around me, but all I heard was the pounding in my chest. I clutched my phone tighter, staring at the empty gate. "Come on, Clara," I whispered, dialing her again. The ringtone mocked me. No answer. I tried again. And again. "Pick up," I muttered under my breath, pacing near the departure board. My flight time blinked at me, minutes slipping away. Marcus leaned against a pillar, arms folded. "She's not coming, man." I shot him a glare. "She promised. She said she'd be here." People say a lot of things before they leave you hanging. His voice was sharp, but his eyes were full of concern. I shook my head. "Not Clara. She wouldn't." The call went to voicemail. My chest tightened. I scrolled through her feed, desperate for some sign, anything. Then I froze. A photo. Clara. Smiling. Adrian's arm around her waist. His smug grin. Her lips pressed to his cheek. The caption, "New Beginnings." The world tilted. My breath caught. My vision blurred. "No," my voice cracked. "No, this isn't real." Marcus stepped closer. "What is it?" I turned the screen to him with shaking hands. He stared, then hissed through his teeth. "That bastard." I stumbled back, clutching the phone like it burned me. "She said she'd wait." "She said," my throat closed. "She said she loved me." Marcus reached for my shoulder, but I pulled away, dialing her number again with trembling fingers. She answered this time. "Clara." My voice was desperate, broken. "Tell me this isn't true. Tell me those pictures." A pause. Then her voice, cold as ice, "It's true." My knees buckled. "Why? Why would you?" "You'll never be enough," she cut in. "Not for me. Not for the life I want." Her words sliced straight through me. I could barely breathe. "Clara," my voice was nothing but a whisper. "Don't call me again," she said flatly, and the line went dead. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered onto the floor. My chest felt like it was tearing open, every heartbeat a knife. Marcus grabbed my arms before I collapsed. "Hey! Look at me." I shook my head violently, gasping. She chose him. Adrian. Of all people, Adrian. "Forget her," Marcus snapped. "She's not worth your life." I pressed my palms against my face, trembling. "She said I'd never be enough." "She's wrong," Marcus growled. "You hear me? She's dead wrong." But her words echoed, louder than his. "Never enough. Never enough." I gave her everything, I whispered, staring at the tiles beneath my feet. I trusted her with everything. Marcus crouched so we were eye to eye. "Then let this be the last time you trust someone like that." I let out a broken laugh, bitter and hollow. I thought she was my forever. Forever doesn't run into another man's arms the moment you turn your back. His grip tightened on my shoulders. "Don't let her kill you." My body shook. The airport noise faded into a dull roar, like I was underwater. People walked past, some glancing, most ignoring. To them, I was just another fool falling apart. "She looked me in the eye when I left," I muttered. "She said, no matter how long, I'll be here." She lied while holding my hand. Marcus's jaw clenched. "She's not the woman you thought she was." "But I loved her," I choked out. "God, I loved her. And she threw that love in your face." "That's on her, not you." I pressed my fist to my chest, trying to hold it together, but the pieces kept slipping. "It hurts. It hurts so much." "I know," Marcus said softly. "But you're not alone in this." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe anything but the truth. But Clara's voice kept replaying, you'll never be enough. I slumped against the wall, closing my eyes, fighting for air. She killed something in me tonight. Marcus didn't argue. He just stayed there, steady, his presence the only thing keeping me from breaking into dust. My phone buzzed again. A notification. Another photo. Clara and Adrian at a restaurant, laughing, glasses raised. Marcus cursed under his breath. She's flaunting it. I couldn't look away. She's already erased me, like I never existed. Then erase her back, Marcus snapped. Don't give her the power to define you. But in that moment, I wasn't strong enough. My hands shook, my heart screamed, and all I could feel was the weight of betrayal crushing me. I whispered to myself, voice trembling, that day, my old self died. And Marcus, still holding me upright, didn't deny it. I stared at the stack of unpaid bills on my table, my stomach twisting. Another red notice slipped under the door earlier. Marcus walked in without knocking. You've been sitting in the dark all day. I muttered, light costs money. Don't start with that crap, he shot back, flicking the switch. The bulb hummed weakly, illuminating my wreckage of a room, clothes on the floor, dishes stacked, half-eaten takeout rotting. I avoided his eyes. I lost the job, Marcus. I know, he said softly. They called me, hoping I'd talk some sense into you. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course they did. Everyone knows I'm a mess. You're not a mess. You're hurt. There's a difference. I rubbed my temples. Tell that to the debt collectors. He pulled out the chair opposite me and leaned forward. How long has it been since you ate? I shrugged. Food doesn't taste like anything anymore. That's not an answer. I don't know. Yesterday? The day before? Who cares? Marcus's jaw clenched. I care. I looked down at my hands, shaking slightly. Every night I close my eyes, I hear her laugh. Not just her laugh, the one she saved for Adrian. Like I was never enough. Stop saying that, Marcus snapped. But it's true. My voice cracked. She chose him. She looked at everything I gave her and decided I was disposable. His fists tightened on the table. She chose money, not love. That's on her, not you. The silence stretched between us. My reflection in the black window glass looked hollow, eyes sunken, skin pale. I don't even recognize myself anymore, I whispered. Marcus stood suddenly, crossed the room, and yanked open my curtains. Streetlight poured in. Then it's time you start rebuilding. Rebuilding what? There's nothing left. There's you, he shot back. I shook my head. I'm broken. Then be broken. But broken doesn't mean finished. I scoffed, sinking deeper into my chair. Easy for you to say. You're not the one who lost everything. He crouched down in front of me, forcing me to meet his eyes. You think I don't feel it? Watching my best friend rot in front of me? You think that doesn't kill me too? My throat tightened. I whispered, I can't do this. Yes, you can. His hands gripped my shoulders. You've already survived the worst. The rest is just proving to yourself that you can get back up. Tears stung my eyes, but I blinked them away. What if I fail again? Then fail forward, he said firmly. Every stumble is still movement. Right now, you're not moving at all. I let the words sink in, heavy and sharp. For the first time in weeks, I felt something other than numbness, a flicker, small but real. Marcus lowered his voice. Either you let this destroy you, or you turn it into fuel. That's the choice. The sentence hit me like a hammer. Fuel. I stared at him, breath uneven. You really think I can turn this around? I know you can, he said without hesitation. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But doubt clung like chains. And if I can't? Then I'll drag you until you can, he said simply. For a moment, I almost laughed. You're insane. Maybe. But at least I'm not giving up on you. I slumped back, running a hand through my tangled hair. I don't even know where to start. Start small. Shower. Eat. Sleep. Repeat. One day at a time. I nodded slowly, though the weight still pressed down on me. She ruined me, Marcus. No, he said, shaking his head. She broke you. You'll decide if she ruined you. The words echoed inside me, louder than Clara's venom had ever been. I sat there, silent, feeling the seed he'd planted take root. Maybe fragile, maybe buried under rubble, but alive. I whispered, almost afraid to say it aloud, maybe I can rebuild. Marcus's eyes softened. That's all I needed to hear. For the first time in months, I felt the faintest trace of something I thought was gone forever. Not joy. Not peace. Just the possibility of tomorrow. And it was enough. The cafe smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. I was wiping tables for the third shift that week when a familiar voice cut through the dull hum. Is that really you, Alex? I froze, rag in hand, before turning. Professor Harris? He stood there, older but sharp as ever, his eyes scanning me like I was still in his lecture hall. I thought you'd vanished, he said, stepping closer. Yeah, well, I forced a smile. Life has a way of doing that to people. He frowned. Life, or you giving up? The word stung. I'm just trying to get by. Getting by is for people who've already decided they're done. That's not the student I knew. I swallowed hard. That student doesn't exist anymore. Rubbish. He pulled out a chair and Saturday, sit down. I'm working. Sit. I sighed and dropped into the chair opposite him. He leaned forward. Tell me, what happened to the boy who stayed after class asking questions no one else cared about? The one who argued with me until I had to kick him out of the lecture hall. I looked away. He got crushed. Betrayed. Humiliated. He learned that passion doesn't pay bills. His voice softened, but only slightly. So instead of fighting, you're hiding here, cleaning tables. I muttered, what else am I supposed to do? Rebuild. His eyes sharpened. That's what you're supposed to do. A bitter laugh escaped me. Easier said than done. Everything worth doing is easier said than done. But I'll make it simple, come work with me. I blinked. Work, with you? Yes. I'm consulting on a project. Small team, but serious work. You'd be perfect. I shook my head instantly. No. I can't. I'll screw it up. I'm not who I used to be. Then stop whining and become better than you used to be. The bluntness hit like a slap. He continued, I won't hold your hand. I'll push you harder than anyone. You'll hate me half the time. But if you survive, you'll walk out a man who doesn't bow to anyone, not even betrayal. My throat tightened. And if I fail? Then you'll fail trying. Which is still better than rotting here. Silence pressed heavy. Around us, the cafe noise blurred into nothing. Finally, I whispered, why me? Why still believe in me? Because you're not finished, he said simply. I stared at him, my chest aching. I don't even know where to start. That's my job, he said. Yours is to show up. I rubbed my hands together, nervous. I'm scared. Good. Fear means you care. Now use it. His certainty was a flame against my ashes. I exhaled slowly. Okay. I'll try. Not try, he corrected. Do. The next day I found myself in a cramped office space filled with buzzing computers and tired but determined faces. A young woman glanced up as I walked in. New recruit. Professor Harris answered for me. This is Alex. He's green, but he learns fast. Treat him like you treat me, tough but fair. The woman smirked. We'll see about that. I whispered, great. Already making friends. Harris shot me a look. You'll thank me later. Now sit. The team dove into discussions, data, strategies, deadlines. It was overwhelming. My mind screamed that I didn't belong. I leaned toward Harris. I don't get half of this. He replied without looking up, then get used to feeling stupid until you stop being stupid. I scowled. You don't pull punches, do you? Punches don't build strength. Work does. I clenched my jaw, forcing myself to focus. Hours later, as the office emptied, I rubbed my aching temples. I'm drowning here. Harris packed his bag calmly. Then learn to swim. I don't know if I can. You can. You just don't believe it yet. I met his gaze. Why are you so sure? Because I've seen you fight before. And you're too damn stubborn to quit when it matters. I let the silence sit, the weight of his words anchoring me. For the first time in months, the crushing fog around me shifted slightly. I whispered, maybe I can do this. He nodded once. You will. As I left the office, exhaustion dragging at me, something burned faintly in my chest. Not hope, not yet. But the first spark of it. And I swore to myself I wouldn't let it die. The office lights buzzed faintly overhead as I sifted through endless reports. My eyes burned, but I kept pushing, afraid that if I stopped, doubt would swallow me whole. Long night? A gentle voice asked. I looked up. Evelyn stood by my desk, a coffee cup in her hand. Her eyes were calm, observant. Something like that, I muttered. I'm still catching up. She placed the cup in front of me. Then you'll need this. I hesitated. You didn't have to. I know, she said with a small smile. But you look like you haven't slept in a week. I tried to deflect. Maybe I haven't. Doesn't matter. Deadlines don't care. True. But your body does. Her words caught me off guard. Most people saw me as the weak link or the desperate newcomer. She noticed something else. I cleared my throat. I'll survive. You don't have to just survive, she said softly. You're allowed to breathe too. I didn't know how to answer. So I sipped the coffee instead. It was bitter but warm, grounding. Later that evening, as the office emptied, I found her still at her desk. Why are you still here? I asked. She glanced up. Same reason as you. Too much to do. I chuckled. Fair enough. She tilted her head. Or maybe I stay because I don't like leaving people alone when they're drowning. I stiffened. I'm not drowning. Her gaze held mine, steady. You think I can't see it? The sleepless eyes, the clenched fists, the way you stare at your screen like it's a lifeline. My jaw tightened. I'm fine. She didn't argue. She just whispered, you don't have to carry it all alone. The word struck deeper than I wanted to admit. My chest ached, and I had to look away. You don't know what I've been through. You're right. I don't. But I don't need the details to see the weight you're under. I exhaled, rubbing my temples. People usually just tell me to toughen up. She smiled faintly. That's lazy advice. You're already tough. You wouldn't be here otherwise. Something in me cracked. For months, all I'd heard was pity or contempt. Evelyn's voice carried neither. Why are you being so kind? I asked finally. Her answer was simple. Because someone should be. I stared at her, words failing me. She packed her bag, slinging it over her shoulder. Get some rest, Alex. The reports will still be here tomorrow. I managed a weak laugh. You sound like Harris. Except he'd yell it instead of whispering. Then maybe you need both approaches, she said with a shrug. When she left, the office felt emptier than before. But her words lingered, echoing in the quiet. Days passed, and Evelyn kept showing up, not with grand gestures, but with little things. A reminder to eat. A second set of eyes on my work. A joke slipped in when the room grew too heavy. One afternoon, I sighed loudly, tossing a draft aside. This is garbage. Evelyn leaned over. It's not garbage. It just needs clarity. Here, she pointed at the page. You buried your best argument in the middle. Put it at the top. Lead with strength. I blinked. How did you see that so fast? She grinned. Because I've made the same mistake 100 times. Her humility disarmed me. For once, I didn't feel stupid for struggling. Later, over takeout boxes, I admitted quietly, you're nothing like Clara. Her brow furrowed. Clara? I cursed myself for saying her name aloud. Forget it. Someone from the past. Evelyn didn't press. She just said, whoever she was, she doesn't define you. The silence after that felt heavy. Finally, I muttered, she tried to. Evelyn's voice was steady. Then prove her wrong. Her conviction stirred something inside me. That night, lying in bed, I replayed her whisper, you don't have to carry it all alone. For the first time in a long while, the darkness didn't feel so absolute. Maybe I wasn't as alone as I thought. And though my heart was still in pieces, a quiet thought took root, not everyone would use love as a weapon. Some people, like Evelyn, might just hold out a hand. The conference room smelled faintly of ink and nerves. I stood at the table, papers spread before me, as silence stretched. Are we really doing this? One of the partners asked, raising a brow. Yes, I said firmly. This deal works. We all profit, and we get a foot in the door where no one else has managed. A rival coworker scoffed. It's suicide. You're too green to pull this off. I met his gaze. Watch me. The room broke into murmurs, but when the signatures were done, the contract was mine. My first big win. Marcus was waiting outside. He clapped me so hard on the back I almost stumbled. You did it, man. You actually did it. I laughed breathlessly. I thought they'd tear me apart in there. You stood tall, Marcus said. Finally, they'll see you for what you are. We walked into the hall, and Evelyn was there, arms folded, a proud smile on her face. I knew you'd pull it off. You sound too confident, I teased. No, she replied. I've watched you bleed for this. Confidence isn't blind, it's earned. Her words warmed me in ways I didn't want to admit. When I reached Harris's office, the old professor rose from his chair with a rare grin. Well done, Alex. Thank you, sir, I said. He pointed a finger at me. Don't thank me. This victory is yours. But don't fool yourself into thinking it's enough. This is only the beginning. I nodded, the weight of his words pressing into me. Later that evening, coworkers surrounded me, shaking my hand. Impressive work. Didn't think you had it in you. Well played, Alex. Their voices carried respect now instead of pity. I smiled politely, but inside, I thought, finally. Still, not everyone celebrated. A rival leaned close, whispering, enjoy it while it lasts. One win doesn't make you untouchable. I met his smirk with calm. One win is enough to prove I'm not who you thought I was. He looked away first. Marcus and I grabbed dinner to celebrate. Over clinking glasses, he grinned. Remember when you couldn't even get a meeting? Look at you now. I chuckled. Yeah. Feels surreal. You've earned it. Don't let anyone take that from you. Evelyn joined us midway, sliding into the booth. You boys look like you're plotting world domination. Not yet, Marcus joked. But he's on his way. Evelyn turned to me. How does it feel? I thought for a moment. Like stepping out of the shadows. Like people finally see me. Good, she said softly. Because you deserve to be seen. Her sincerity left me silent. That night, back in my apartment, I sat alone. Papers from the deal still scattered across my desk. My phone buzzed with congratulations, but I ignored them. In the quiet, I heard it again, Clara's voice, sharp and cruel. You'll never be enough. My chest tightened. Even now, after victory, her words haunted me. I whispered into the empty room, was this enough for you to notice, Clara? Would you still laugh if you saw me now? The silence answered. I leaned back, rubbing my face. Success tasted sweet, but it wasn't filling. It was just the first bite of something much larger. Marcus's cheers, Evelyn's smile, Harris's warning, they all circled in my mind. But beneath them all, one truth burned, this triumph wasn't the end. It was the spark. And I wanted more. Much more. The boardroom doors swung open, and I froze mid-step. My chest clenched like a fist around my lungs. There she was. Clara. Her smile faltered the moment our eyes locked, just for a second, but I caught it. Alex, Adrian said smoothly from across the table, his voice laced with false charm. Didn't expect to see you leading negotiations. Bold move from your little firm. I walked forward, keeping my gaze steady. Surprises make business interesting, don't they? He smirked, though a flicker of unease rippled behind his confidence. Interesting, sure. Dangerous, too. Clara shifted in her chair. Shall we start? Her voice was calm, but she avoided looking directly at me. Marcus nudged me as we Saturday, you good, he whispered. Better than ever, I murmured, though my pulse hammered in my throat. The room buzzed with voices as papers slid across polished wood. Adrian leaned back, folding his hands behind his head. You've come far, Alex. But mergers like this? They're heavy work. Might be too heavy for you. I smiled faintly. Don't worry, Adrian. I've learned to carry weight. Marcus chuckled under his breath. Some of us build muscle the hard way. Adrian's jaw tightened. Cute. Clara finally spoke, her tone clipped. Let's stay professional. The terms. Of course, I said, not looking at her. Strictly professional. She glanced at me then, quick, sharp, almost pleading. I looked away. We went through numbers, projections, risks. Adrian kept interrupting, laughing too loud at his own jokes, trying to drag the room to his rhythm. I countered, calm and deliberate. Every word I spoke pulled attention my way, not his. Finally, the doors opened again. An older man walked in, his presence heavy as silence. Broad shoulders, white hair combed neatly back, a cane tapping softly against the floor. Adrian straightened immediately. Clara's posture stiffened. Father, Adrian said. So this was him, the man behind Adrian's empire. His gaze swept the table before settling on me. His eyes, sharp and tired all at once, studied me as though he were measuring the weight of my soul. And you are, he asked. I stood. Alex. I represent our side of the merger. He gave a slow nod. Confident tone. Rare in men your age. Adrian jumped in. He's just playing dress up, father. Nothing to worry about. The old man didn't even glance at him. Confidence is not play acting, Adrian. It's survival. Sit down. The command cracked like a whip. Adrian obeyed, lips pressed thin. The father lowered himself into the seat across from me. Tell me, Alex. Why should I trust you? The room stilled. Every eye pinned me, waiting for me to stumble. Because I don't need your trust, I said quietly. I need your respect. And respect is earned by results. Not by last names. Marcus exhaled sharply beside me. Clara's lips parted, but she said nothing. Adrian bristled. The old man's eyes glimmered. Good answer. Adrian leaned forward. He's bluffing. He doesn't have the reach, doesn't have the resources. I cut him off. You're right, Adrian. I don't have what you were given. I built what I have. Brick by brick. When the walls came crashing down, I built again. That's the difference between us. The old man's chuckle was low and deliberate. I like builders. Clara finally spoke. We're wasting time. The merger. I looked at her, letting silence stretch. Funny hearing you speak of wasted time. Her eyes darkened, and she looked down at the papers. Adrian slammed his pen against the table. Enough. You think one deal makes you our equal? You're a pawn. Always have been. I leaned closer. Careful, Adrian. Pawns sometimes cross the board. And when they do, they change the game. His nostrils flared, but his father's hand shot up, silencing him. You, the father said, pointing his cane at me. I see steel in you. But steel can rust. Will you endure? I don't have the luxury of not enduring, I replied. He nodded slowly, approvingly. Good. Then let's see if you're worth the gamble. The room erupted again in talk, numbers, projections. But everything had shifted. The old man's attention was on me now, not Adrian. Clara sat rigid, quiet, her pen unmoving. Adrian pretended confidence, but I saw the panic flicker each time his father dismissed him. Marcus leaned toward me, whispering, You just turned the tide. I kept my eyes on Adrian. No, I whispered back. The tide turned the moment Clara looked away. The old man tapped his cane, ending the discussion. I'll review these terms tonight. Tomorrow, we decide. Everyone stood. Clara gathered her papers quickly, avoiding me. Adrian stormed toward the door, muttering curses under his breath. As I moved to leave, the father's voice stopped me. Alex. I turned. He studied me once more. My son underestimates you. I will not. Don't waste my attention. I met his gaze. I won't. He gave the faintest smile. We'll see. When I stepped out of the boardroom, my heart pounded with something raw, vindication, maybe power. For the first time, I wasn't the one trembling. Adrian was. Clara was. And their empire, once untouchable, had just felt my hand on its foundations. The boardroom emptied like water draining from a glass. Papers rustled, footsteps echoed, and I felt the weight of the day still burning in my chest. Adrian stormed off first, muttering curses. His father walked out with steady pride, cane tapping against the floor. Marcus clapped me on the shoulder before leaving to take a call. That's when I heard her voice. Alex. I froze. Clara stood in the doorway, eyes searching mine. Her smile was there, perfect, polished, but the corners shook. I crossed my arms. What do you want? She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You look incredible. I've missed you. The words dripped like honey, but I saw the crack in her mask. Her hands trembled slightly as she tucked her hair behind her ear. Missed me? I said sharply. That's rich. Her lips quivered. I mean it. Alex, I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. I laughed, bitter and sharp. You realized. You just didn't care. Her shoulders flinched as though I'd struck her. No. It wasn't like that. Adrian, he promised me a world. I thought. You thought wrong, I cut in. She shook her head, desperate. Listen to me. He's not who I believed. Behind all the glitter, he's cruel. Empty. Every day I see more of it, and her voice cracked. I can't breathe in that world anymore. I stared at her, cold and unmoving. So now you want to breathe in mine? Her eyes filled with panic. I didn't come here to beg. I came because I need you to know the truth. I made a mistake. I stepped closer, my voice low. You didn't just make a mistake, Clara. You made a choice. You chose him. His money, his status, his arrogance. And you left me standing at an airport, waiting like a fool. Tears welled, clinging to her lashes. I was wrong. I thought I was choosing a future. But all I did was lose myself. I clenched my jaw, the memory of her cold voice still etched into me. You'll never be enough. The echo stabbed again. I whispered, why should I notice you now, when you never noticed me then? Her mask shattered. She gasped, covering her mouth as tears broke free. The polished, untouchable Clara, reduced to shaking shoulders and muffled sobs. Because I see you now, she choked. Not the boy who chased dreams, but the man who built them. My fists tightened at my sides. And what happens when Adrian comes calling again with promises of gold? Do you run back? Do I become your mistake twice? No. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. I can't go back to him. I'm trapped, Alex. Every day is a cage, and I can't get out without losing everything. I tilted my head. You lost me once. That should have been everything. Her knees weakened, and she sank into the nearest chair, sobbing openly. I destroyed the only real thing I ever had. And now you hate me. I stared at her, feeling the old ache twist with something darker, power. For years, she had been the untouchable one, the dream always out of reach. Now she was broken at my feet. I whispered, hate. No. Hate would mean you still matter that much. Her sobs deepened. She buried her face in her hands. Then what am I to you now? I let the silence answer her. Her shoulders shook violently as she whispered through tears, say something, please. Finally, I leaned down, my voice steady. You're the ghost I stopped chasing. She looked up, eyes red and wet, searching desperately for softness. There was none left. Alex, her voice cracked, pleading. Can't we start over? I stepped back, straightened my jacket, and shook my head. You don't start over with someone who left you to die inside. You bury them. Her lips trembled, her body folding inward as if she'd been gutted. I deserve that, she whispered. I didn't deny it. The door creaked behind me, Marcus's voice breaking the moment. Everything okay? I didn't turn to Clara. Yeah. Everything's fine. He eyed me, then her, then back to me. You sure? I nodded once. We're done here. Clara sobbed softly behind me, but I walked out without another word. Marcus fell into step beside me. What happened? I exhaled, steadying myself. A ghost tried to come back to life. And, he asked. I looked ahead, my voice cold. I don't believe in resurrections. The conference room hummed with tension. Adrian's voice rang sharp, but the faces around the table weren't nodding anymore. They were frowning, whispering, calculating. I watched the shift happen like dominoes falling. One of his closest partners leaned toward me. Your proposal, it makes more sense. Less risk. Another cleared his throat. We can't ignore the numbers. Adrian, maybe. Adrian slammed his hand on the table. You think I'll step aside for him? His glare cut into me, but it lacked the fire it once had. I folded my hands calmly. Step aside. No. But business isn't about pride. It's about survival. The murmurs grew louder. A man at the far end nodded at me. I agree. Pride doesn't pay dividends. Adrian's jaw clenched, but the cracks were showing. When the meeting ended, his allies, no, my allies now, filed out, shaking my hand. Their eyes told me everything: respect, trust, opportunity. Adrian stood frozen, fists tight, while Clara lingered in the corner. I felt her eyes burning into me. Later, as I gathered my papers, she slipped close. Her voice barely carried. Alex. I didn't look at her. What do you want? Her breath trembled. I'm sorry. I finally turned. Her mask was gone, replaced with raw desperation. Sorry for what? I asked. She swallowed hard. For everything. For the way I mocked you, for leaving you when you needed me. Her voice cracked. I can't stop remembering. The airport. The call. My words. Her confession twisted my chest. For a moment, the ache of that night stabbed fresh, and I hated that it still hurt. You remember it all? I said quietly. Her tears shimmered. Every second. And it destroys me. I traded love for vanity, and I've been paying for it ever since. I let the silence weigh on her. My heart pounded, but I forced my face to stay calm. She reached out, her hand trembling. Tell me I'm not too late. I stepped back. Too late. Clara, you can't undo betrayal with a whisper. Her lips shook. I'm not asking for us to be what we were. Just, forgiveness. I stared into her eyes, seeing the girl I once loved and the woman who gutted me. The conflict tore at me for a heartbeat. Then I exhaled. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, I said firmly. And forgetting? That's impossible. The scars are still here, even if they don't bleed anymore. Her tears spilled. Then I've lost you forever. I nodded slowly. Yes. You lost me the moment you chose him over me. That door doesn't reopen. She covered her mouth, shoulders trembling. I regret it every day. I felt the weight of her words but also the freedom in mine. Regret doesn't change the past. And I don't need your regret to move forward. She choked back a sob. I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd still care. I met her gaze without flinching. I cared once. Enough to break me. But I've rebuilt myself from those pieces. I don't need you anymore. Her body sagged, as though my words crushed whatever hope she clung to. The door opened, and Marcus stepped in. Everything all right? I straightened. Perfectly fine. Clara turned away, wiping her face quickly. Marcus glanced at her, then at me, and raised an eyebrow. She's drowning in regret, I said flatly. And you? He asked. I looked at him, my voice steady. I'm already past her. Even if the scars remain, they don't own me anymore. Behind us, Clara's soft sobs filled the silence. But they couldn't reach me, not anymore. The final signatures dried on the contracts. Adrian's empire, once untouchable, now leaned on mine for survival. I closed the folder, stood, and felt every eye in the room shift toward me, not him. Marcus clapped me lightly on the shoulder. You did it. Evelyn's voice followed, warm but steady. No, he earned it. Adrian sat stiff, his fists trembling against the table. His father said nothing, only watching me with a grim respect that Adrian had never earned. And then, Clara. She stood by the door, her face pale, her eyes red. I walked past Adrian without a word, but Clara stepped forward. "Alex, wait." I stopped, my hand on the polished wood of the door. Her whisper trembled. "Do you hate me this much?" I turned slowly, meeting her eyes. Tears streaked her face, breaking through the mask she always wore. For a moment, the years fell away, the girl I once loved, the woman who once tore me apart. But my voice came calm, steady. "No, Clara. I don't hate you." Her lips parted, desperate, searching for something to cling to. "I just don't need you anymore." Her shoulders shook. "You mean nothing's left? Not even a piece of what we were?" I shook my head. "What we were died the moment you chose him. Whatever love I carried turned into scars. And those scars, they don't chain me anymore." Her breath caught, and she stumbled back against the wall. "Then I've lost everything." I didn't answer. Some truths didn't need words. Pushing open the door, I stepped outside. The evening air was cool, the city lights painting the street in gold. My sleek mansion car waited at the curb, its tinted windows glinting under the lamps. The driver opened the door, and I slid inside without looking back. As the car pulled away, the meeting room, and Clara's tears, faded into the distance. Marcus leaned against the window across from me. "So, how does it feel?" I watched the city blur past, towers glowing like embers in the night. "Light," I murmured. "Light?" he asked. I nodded. I thought revenge was about destroying them. But it wasn't. It was about proving I survived. Evelyn smiled faintly beside him. "And you did more than survive. You rose." I let out a long breath. The weight I'd carried for years, the betrayal, the nights haunted by her laughter, lifted. My scars were still there, but now they felt different. "They're not chains anymore," I whispered. "They're proof of my strength." The car glided through the city, quiet, steady, unstoppable. And for the first time in years, so was I. The balcony stretched wide, glass rails reflecting the night sky. Below, the city pulsed with light, cars moving like rivers of fire. I gripped the edge, letting the cool wind rush over my face. Marcus stepped out behind me, a drink in his hand. "So this is it," he said. "You actually made it." I smirked faintly. "Funny, right? All those nights you dragged me out of bed, and now here we are." He laughed. "Dragged? More like carried. You were a nightmare." "I know," I admitted, my voice softer. "But you stayed." Marcus shook his head, his grin fading into something serious. "I stayed because I knew you weren't done. Even when you thought you were." Before I could answer, Evelyn joined us, leaning on the railing beside me. Her eyes caught the lights of the city, steady and calm. "You've built something people said you couldn't," she said. "But you didn't do it alone. Don't forget that." "I couldn't forget if I tried," I told her. "You noticed me when no one else cared. That mattered more than you know." Her lips curved into a quiet smile. "Good. Because strength doesn't mean carrying the world alone." The sliding door opened again, and Professor Harris walked out, his posture straighter than ever despite his age. He didn't waste words. "You've done well," he said simply. I turned, meeting his sharp gaze. "Because of you. You pushed me when I wanted to crawl." "No," he corrected, his tone stern. "I only reminded you of who you were. You chose not to break." His words sank deep. I lowered my eyes, breathing out slowly. Then maybe I finally believe it. For a moment, silence wrapped us. The city roared below, but up here, it felt like the world had paused. Marcus broke it first. "What now?" You've got money, power, the whole damn skyline at your feet. Is that enough? I stared at the lights, their glow bleeding into my thoughts. It's not about enough. It's about freedom. Evelyn tilted her head. Freedom? Yeah, I said. For years I was chained, by Clara's betrayal, by Adrian's shadow, by my own scars. I thought revenge was the goal, but standing here, I realize it wasn't. It was never about them. Professor Harris folded his hands behind his back. Then what was it about? I looked at him, then back at the city. Becoming whole again. The words came out steady, certain. I hadn't planned them, but they felt right. Marcus gave a low whistle. Whole. Damn. I liked the sound of that. Evelyn touched my arm lightly. And do you feel it? Wholeness? I hesitated. The ghost stirred at the edges of my mind, Clara's laughter, Adrian's smirk, the night at the airport when I shattered. For a second, I could almost hear her voice again, you'll never be enough. But it didn't sting anymore. I feel lighter, I admitted. The scars are still there, but they don't own me. Professor Harris gave a short nod, satisfied. That is freedom's weight. Heavy, but yours to carry. I let the words settle, then leaned forward, staring into the endless horizon. She thought I'd suffer alone, I whispered, almost to myself. But I became stronger than she ever dreamed. Marcus clapped me on the back. Damn right you did. Evelyn smiled softly. And stronger doesn't mean colder. Remember that. I know, I said. I won't waste what I've been given. We stood there together, the four of us, bound not by blood but by battles fought side by side. Behind us, the celebration buzzed faintly, laughter spilling through the glass doors. But here, on the balcony, the air was clear, honest. I breathed it in, slow and steady. For so long, I said, I thought revenge would be the ending. That once I crushed them, I'd finally be free. But the truth is, revenge was just the fire. Freedom is what came after. Evelyn's voice was soft. So the story ends here. I shook my head. No. This isn't an ending. It's the start of something new. For once, the past isn't holding the pen. Professor Harris gave a faint smile, rare and brief. Then right wisely. The city glimmered below, alive and endless, as if waiting for me. I felt the weight of everything, betrayal, heartbreak, victory, scars, and for the first time, I carried it without breaking. True, unshakable freedom. And this time, it was mine.